All right. How worried are you about this Dennis Schröder for Malik Monk business?
It sounds like Dave, and I said yesterday, Dennis Schröder is going to be a king. It's just a matter of how is he going to be a king? And the numbers I'm hearing, give or take, what was it? 2 years, 28 million, I believe. Yeah, I don't know, because they apparently had a Zoom call yesterday, which I thought was hilarious, with Malik Monk, with Dennis Schröder and then Russell Westbrook, and are efforting both of those. So there's 2 point guards for you. What this smells like to me, and again, I'm going to try to temper the reaction until the deals are complete. I think it's important to do that. The Kings deserve zero grace and zero trust, but I think Scott Perry does until he doesn't. What it sounds like this could be is if you sign and trade Monk to Detroit for Schröder, you're first off, you'd be assuming Schröder is 228. You're knocking about $6 million off of what you would have owed Monk. So you're saving, you got $6 million to work with a little bit. There's some apron stuff I won't bore you with. But you're also retaining your mid-level exception, which I think is 14 something. They also have a couple of trade exceptions too. Again, I don't want to get too cap nerdy on the radio, but conceivably, if there, what the thought process I would imagine is, when trying to just go through it, is okay. Well, if we signed a trade Schröder, we're going to save $6 million. It's going to leave we're basically substituting him for Malik Monk, and we're keeping our mid-level exception, which they could then hypothetically use that and the rest of their exemptions or trade exemption or whatever to grab also Russell Westbrook, and then they need to move on to power forward at some point. They need a 4. Saying what else is new? So that's if you're wondering why this is going on. That I think is most of the thinking behind this thing.
So my reaction to, we've heard about Schröder for a while. Yeah. A position of need, no doubt. They need a point guard. And going for 2, I don't honestly think that's a terrible idea, because I think I like competition, and maybe Westbrook's your starter. Maybe it's Schröder. I don't know. Whatever. If that's the road they go. But just the premise of getting Schröder for Malik Monk, I don't like. Mm-hmm. Now, if, to your point, I'm willing to wait and see what else is involved. Yeah. But to me, I think either you are getting another asset, another player, cash considerations, exception, pick, something from Detroit, because personally, I don't think Malik Monk for Schröder is fair to the Kings.
It's not.
Because you don't have to involve Malik. Now, we get it. They've got a glut. You got to clean that out.
Sure.
You can do it separately on a whole separate other trade. So I don't love that part of it, but that's not it yet. And if it becomes it, I won't like that. I think Malik Monk personally is a better player than Schröder. I don't think there's a big separation, but I personally think he is.
He's better.
Now, you need a point guard.
He's also younger, by the way.
Yeah, so you're getting older. The money, I think Schröder's value is probably about right, but you could just do that on the own mid-level $14 million without moving Monk, and you get Monk in a different deal, or keep Malik Monk and move someone else. So, again, it's not done. It's not finalized, and that's what's weird, is where this hang-up is, and whether the Kings are trying for more, Detroit, whatever. But Malik Monk is an asset. He can help this team. He has helped this team. And he's a guy that I know people have argued about his market value and what it is. Maybe I overthink it for him or think it's higher, but he's been a quality 6-man, was asked to do something different last year after they traded Fox. And at times shined, at times he didn't, but Malik Monk's a good player. And they don't need Monk as much as they need Schröder, but that doesn't mean you want to get on the bad end of a deal.
I'm old enough to remember when the former mayor of this city came on this very show about a year ago and helped the rest of us coming up with all kinds of things that we would bribe Malik Monk with if he'd re-sign with this team.
Correct.
Including a key to the city. So there's a lot of stuff, Jason, that I find wrong with this. And I'm gonna start with 2 things that haven't really been talked about, that are completely separate, but these are things that I care about. These are things that bother me, and these are things that should bother you guys. I always am like a moth to flame when it comes to the boring, mundane, yet important parts of the story. So let me start with one that really bothers me. Sometime around yesterday afternoon, I saw a ton of conversation online about the Monk market being non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a lot of conversation about the cap situation, the mid-level exemption,
Okay.
what the numbers would do. I saw a lot of defense of this move that has not happened yet. Okay. This is no disrespect to my colleagues in the media that are doing their jobs and reporting the news. None, not an ounce. I want to be clear about this. This is not about Kings media. But someone's talking. Someone's talking to a lot of people. Because I watch all of this like a hawk, and I look for certain things. Like, for example, let's just use our own station. If I say something and then Alan and Whitey and you were all on the same page, well, it could have just been me or you or Alan that got it, and we talk amongst ourselves and then we push it out as a station. That is completely normal. But when I see not only other stations, but TV, writers, newspaper, they're all putting out similar. I know this playbook. This is someone's talking and they're testing the waters, or if not testing the waters, they're plowing the field that they're about to go down. I don't like that at all. I don't. Now, this is coming from the guy where Taro tweeted out a picture a month ago of Scott Perry and myself and him having lunch. That's access. That's seemingly hypocritical. Let me be very clear. I would rather Scott Perry I would rather have zero sources, not have any conversations with Scott Perry or anybody involved with the team than what scares me to death. I don't want to go back to a Vlade or Pete D'Alessandro situation. I'm not saying that's Scott because he's not. But I don't, as media members, you want that access. You need that access. You want that access. It's great. But this is where I got to take off my media hat and put on my Kings fan hat. As a Kings fan, which will always, always, always outweigh the media job for me. It's always Kings first, then it's job second. I don't like it. Because if they're talking to me and they're talking to him and they're talking to you and they're talking to her, then they're probably talking to her and him as well on a national level.
Right.
I don't like it. I don't like this stuff leaking out. And this city isn't filled with people. Some, sure, okay. The city isn't filled with people that have massive NBA team, other team, and or agent sources. This is coming from the call is coming from inside the house. So stop that, please. Just knock it off. It's not the end of the world right now, but that's the first thing that scares me. The second thing that scares me, we'll get to the gist of this stuff here in a second. I was waiting for somebody to ask me this question last night, and they finally did. They said, who are we getting with this exemption? What is going on? Their question was basically, is this this whole market thing, is this a Kings problem? Well, the market's dried up on Malik Monk. The market's dried up here. All the Kings could get for Fox was, this is starting to become a recurring thing. And I want to take everybody back a second, okay? Because it's important when you're going to talk about this stuff to do it in context of history, which is why when we had these conversations last year about negative Nelly and this guy XYZ is gone, move on, and this and that, it's like, no. You have to mark this stuff down because it will educate your future takes, your future analysis of the situation. Mike Brown got fired before he got on the team. Well, he was driving to the team plane. You had other coaches around the league speaking out about how garbage it was. De'Aaron Fox goes to San Antonio. I was screaming on this show and still do to this day Dude, that is a bigger deal than you think. It's not about De'Aaron Fox. It's about a star player that asked out of here, the second longest tenured King in existence, because he didn't trust the franchise. And you have to go beyond, you have to do the galaxy brain thinking to lay this out. Anyone want to venture a guess as to who had more access? You, me, Sam Amick, Shams Charania, James Ham, Jason Anderson, Kyle Madsen, Kyle Ledbetter, Matt George. Who had more access to the Kings and how they work behind the scenes? All of them put together, or De'Aaron Fox? I'm going to go with De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox, in part of his decision, is going, I don't want any freaking part of this. And a lot of the reasons why he wanted out is public. And some of the reasons that he wanted out, I ain't touching with a 10-foot pole. You know what I'm talking about. This gets around. Agents hear this. Players hear this. So the question is there not a market for Malik Monk? Or is there not a market for Malik Monk because in order to trade Malik Monk, you need players to come back of somewhere in the neighborhood of value, and the only people that are coming here are either people that can't get other jobs or veterans that are looking for a payday and playing time that have to come here, that don't have a lot of other options, which is why, no disrespect to the Hall of Famer Russ Westbrook, no disrespect to Dennis Schröder. They have no fault in any of this, but they fit that mold. You are aging veterans that don't have a ton of opportunities that want to get paid and want to stay relevant. Well, here you go. Welcome to basketball hell. What is the virtue? For example, you're going to hear a lot of this. Is a talking point you're going to hear a lot. I've already heard it. Well, there's a glut. There's Malik Monk, and there's Devin Carter, and there's Keon. There's a glut. Well, there is a glut. Okay, so
you don't have to move them.
So yeah, exactly. So what? So there's a glut. So what's the worst case scenario? You go into next year with those guys? Okay. What are you going to win a few less games? And that's the thing that bothers me. When you think the deal through, it consummates with they're worried about winning ball games next year. I've been waiting for the signs. Are you building for the future? Because Jason, I'm looking at the salaries for the Sacramento Kings here. They're on the hook right now for about 163, 164 next year, 150 the following year. And then the following year, you have the Malik Monk player option at $21 million.
Which could be gone. One way or the other, whether he stays and opts out or, You have Domantas Sabonis at 48.6. Final year.
You have the Devin Carter team option at 7.3.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
In my mind, I've been quietly watching and hoping and praying. Okay, if every move lines up with this, so what they're going to do, here's the move. You got 2 seasons to clear out. You are completely off the books in 27, 28, except for Sabonis, who is incredibly movable by then. Is every move you're making part of that deal? Well, okay. Well, if Schröder and Russ are 2-year deals, well, you can kind of get behind that. But you're once again selling pennies on the dollar.
Mm-hmm.
You hold on to you've got a 27-year-old guy who, by the way, talking about point guards. Here's Schröder versus Monk, by the way. There it is. Monk had more assists last year. Okay, is that the job of a point guard? I mean, what are we doing? And playing sporadically in that point guard position. I'm not even going to get into points and almost every other category that he's completely dominant over Schröder. Plus, he's 5-6 years younger. We're going to continue this in the next segment because I'm yammering, but you hold the value and you're patient. If you need a lesson on that, different caliber of player, different caliber of market, I understand that, but had the Kings been patient and held on to De'Aaron Fox last year until the summer, which he himself thought they were going to do, it is all but an absolute fact that their return would have been greater. The only reason to be impatient, Jason, is if you're worried about wins next year and selling tickets.
Yeah, and the irony of all that, too, is I don't think he's a Spur. even if that was his preferred destination.
Totally agree with you.
They didn't think they'd get the second pick.
Totally
they knew
agree.
they had Castle, ends up being rookie of the year, but you have Castle and now the second pick.
Yeah.
And Harper, and you're like, I mean, they love that they have Fox.
Sure.
Maybe they go a completely different route.
And maybe they say to Rich
Maybe they
Paul,
do get Durant.
That's right.
Or whatever.
And they say to Rich Paul at some point, hey, Rich, look, we'd love to have him. I know he wants to come here, but we just don't have the room.
Yeah.
And then De'Aaron, and then they say, okay, well, you got to pick some other. Oh, well, now the market's opened up a little bit. Oh,
Right.
Here's 5 teams that you can choose from. And now there's a bidding war. And oh, hey, we've got some first rounders. We've got all this stuff where they were impatient because they allowed an outgoing general manager to take on a top 5 worst contract in the NBA, and they're hamstrung with it now and for the next 3 years unless they can move him. The audacity of allowing an outgoing GM to do this. And now we're back here. Dennis Schröder and Russell Westbrook, God bless them, they do absolutely nothing for me as a Kings fan. As do wins, do absolutely nothing. What does hurt me is if you're giving up early on a guy that the whole city, not to mention the team, was obsessed with signing last year. Did Malik Monk forget how to play basketball? And this is one of the few guys that he wants to be here. There's like 4 people in the world that play NBA basketball that want to be in Sacramento. He's one of them, which can't count for everything. It's a business, but it's got to count for something. So I'm going to, by the way, super great job by me holding my opinion until a deal is done. There's plenty of room here to retract and reassess.
Correct.
But if it's going the way it looks like it's going, this would appear to be the first pockmark on the new era. And if they're testing the waters right now, the waters are choppy, I would say, to say the least, with the fans. We'll take a break, Jason. I want to know what you think when we come back. We can also take your phone calls at 1-800-920-1140. You can text